action. GAC versus Allatoona.
Number 5, Drew Swanson. Number 11, Bradley Brevin. Number 12, Dylan Ramsey. And number 22, Trey Blue. Head coach for the Buccaneers, Marcus Wood. Ladies and gentlemen, the starting lineup for the GACS Spartans. Number 2, Eric Jameson. Number 10, Garrett Covington. Number 12, Cam Boyd. Number 20, Ryan Carvey. And number 43, Jakob Hoffman. Sparks head coach, Mr. Eddie Martin.
And thanks for joining us here for the Jared Cook Classic. Again, it's Marcus Burnett. We appreciate you being here on SUVtv. We want to recognize some of the sponsors that have made this event as well as the webcast possible. Jared Cook, the namesake for the event, sponsoring this tournament to benefit Susan G. Komen for the Cure, a cause that's definitely hit close to home with his mother being a breast cancer survivor. Also want to take a second to thank Crossover as well for their sponsorship of the webcast. We are underway. GAC with the tip. They're going to be led by number 20 there. That's Coffee. GAC has already experienced some action here at the Jared Cook Classic, a loss to Peachtree Ridge yesterday on day 2. That was a contest that saw Peachtree Ridge shoot 13 of 15 from three-point land there in the first half. And for anybody that knows anything about GAC, you'll know it's that type of effort, that type of execution that it takes to beat a tough Spartans program year in and year out. Allatoona, the Bucks, are seeing their first action of the tournament here. Team led by Coach Marcus Hood, so it should be a good matchup. Two well-coached teams. Looking forward to seeing it play out. As again, I'm Marcus Burnett. Sylvester Williams joining me on the mic here today. Sly, it's a great time of year. Every time you look up, you've got another tournament starting here this time of the season. Your thoughts on this matchup?
One of my favorite times of year, Marcus, right here. Start of basketball season. Got a little bit of nervous jitters going on. A lot of these teams' first action of the year. Still getting used to each other. You know, the football team players finally making it back to the basketball scene. So, like that turnover right there. Just a little bit of new basketball going on. But I love it, Marcus. I love it.
That makes two of us. They're working hard. It's Garrett Covington. Covington, solid player for Coach Eddie Martin Spartans, a player that had a good overall game, even though I'm sure they wanted the W yesterday. He was very active on the glass and did some of the things that we saw him do well last season coming off the bench for GAC. I look for him to be real aggressive and make his mark on the game early on. So we're going to have a foul on the floor there on the drive attempt by Dylan Ramsey, number 12.
You know, something you were saying earlier, Marcus, you were talking about two well-coached teams, and that's always been a trademark, I think, of the GACS program. You know, just a well-coached team, well-disciplined team. Nice, good alley from the, a little bit too far out of reach for him.
As one of my good colleagues says, they had the alley part but forgot the oop there on that one. But still a good-looking set there by Coach Marcus Hood. a coach that always gets the most out of his players as well. I think when you talk about a coach, Eddie Martin, and some of the other prominent coaches here in the state, when you examine all of the coaches that we have at our disposal here in the Peach State, Coach Marcus Hood, definitely one of those that should be in conversations. Just one of those players, one of those coaches that always does a good job making sure he gets the most out of his players, and also trains them in a way that I think prepares them for the bigger picture beyond just basketball there at the school.
Big 3-ball. Cam Boyd knocked that down from long range. Nice little fall away 3-pointer.
That's the first time that we'll say that this game. I can guarantee you it will not be the last time. Cam Boyd, a sharpshooter by specialty here for GAC, but letting us know we can hit the 3-ball as well. Trey Dooms, the 6'1 freshman for Coach Hood, puts the Bucks on the board.
Young guy shows he isn't intimidated at all by the spotlight. When you see a guy, he's a freshman and playing varsity action right here, that lets you know he's special. Normally you don't bring up a 14-year-old and you keep him on the bench. If he's on the team, Cam, one more time, Cam. Knocks it down.
Cam Boyd doing what he does. And he's a player that, beyond his ability to shoot the 3, he's also a better option as far as when they close out on that 3-point shot, being able to get in and take care of the ball. I think a lot of times when you look back at the hot shooting that Danny Green did in the finals a couple years ago, as we got another bucket there for GAC. This time it's number 43, Jacob Hoffman, another solid piece for Coach Martin's team. But back to my example as far as Danny Green is concerned, not the year that they beat the Heat, but the year before that, he came out lights out. I think that was the year he broke Ray Allen's record. But once they decided to cut the water off and close out on that 3-pointer, a lot of times when they made him put the ball on the floor, if he wasn't hitting the 3, it was either a turnover or going the other way quickly.
Exactly.
Not to say Cam Boyd was in that same position, but he's a lot more comfortable being able to put the ball on the floor than he was in the past few years. A big credit to his development.
And speaking of that development, a lot of that comes down to the basketball that these kids are playing nowadays. They're playing basketball year-round. And I know Sports Utility Vehicle brings you basketball year-round with all the AAU camps that you bring to us, with your webcast, Marcus. And that's just a way that this guy has improved over the summer, improved in the offseason, just year-round basketball.
As it's now an 11-3 ball game.
Ooh. Eric Jamison came down with the block shot. He's a 6'4 senior. He's 6'4, skinny guy, long arm span, and he looks like a jumping bean down there. You like to have a guy like that. Some teams, we heard the Burkmar coach over here a little bit earlier talking about a Mount Vernon team he played that had a 7-footer, 6'9", 6'11", and 2 6'5" wing guys. But, you don't have that too often, so you need a nice, 6'4" post player who can jump out the gym like that on your team.
Yeah, that was Coach Witherspoon, assistant coach over there at Burkmar, that we touched base with, talking about Burkmar's recent trip down to a tournament there at I believe it was the Montverde Invitational. I'm not sure if that's the exact title, but I know it was held down there at Montverde in Florida. But I'm sure that game was a learning experience. Very young team for Coach Phillips, Coach Spoon, and Burkmar. But again, another program with a solid head coach there and a lot of tradition when it comes to Georgia in Burkmar. So I'm sure they will fare just fine. Meanwhile, we've got an 11-3 ball game here in favor of GAC. They've shot it well from outside, but also shooting it well are the Bucks. That's number 24. That's Ephraim Shamanga. Ephraim's 3 pulls the Bucks to within 5 points. The Bucks short a couple players due to some injuries. And I got a couple players that are just wrapping up the football season. So no excuses being made by Coach Hood and his staff on that note, but that's definitely going to have an impact as those guys get healthy. Meanwhile, Garrett Covington doing what he does.
Good vision from the big man to hit the streaker on the baseline right there. Good court awareness by your big man in the middle of the lane. We got a pretty nice shooting display going on out here. But as the last game was going on, I went up to the hospitality suite and I watched a little bit of the Maui Invitational. and they had BYU playing Chaminade. And BYU started off the game 11 for 11 from three-point range, and Chaminade wasn't too far behind. They were like 5 for 6. So I guess that three-point shooting bug is a little bit contagious today out here, you know?
Well, most definitely. GAC has used that three-point shot to their favor in this one. You know, like we mentioned, Peachtree Ridge beating them yesterday, but anytime a team shoots 13 of 15 from three there in the first half, I think it's going to be very hard to beat them. So a lot of that, even though I'm sure Coach Eddie Martin and this staff, they're always fine-tuning things. They always run like a machine. But, I think it was less what GAC did wrong to open that game and more about what Peachtree Ridge did right. So I like the way that they've come out and responded here in this one, not trying to do too much, a sense of urgency, but not giving too much credence in the yesterday's loss. Just coming out focusing on being 1-0 today. As looked like Shamanga got a hand on that one for Allatoona. No, that was actually Bradley Brevitt that got a hand on that one for Allatoona, was out of bounds while doing so. So it will stay with GAC. You know, GAC, it's a new look that we've experienced from them over the past few years where we're used to seeing Isaiah Wilkins out there patrolling the court. He was actually tuned in to yesterday's game, so we appreciate that support. You know, he's playing his college ball at University of Virginia. And while you don't have an Isaiah Wilkins kind of presence out there, you got some pieces, and a Jamison who you see making the nice move right there, and some of the other players here for GAC are going to make sure they have a good result this season as well.
Wilkins kid, pretty good pedigree, I might say. You know, comes from a decent bloodline with that last name, Wilkins. He might be all right.
I'd say they're erecting a statue of Dominique Wilkins, I think, this May, either this April or May, right there around Phillips Arena. So, yeah, safe to say he had a pretty good career.
Yes, sir.
Nice take right there. Easy layup drill by Bradley Brevitt.
I like Brevitt, 6'4", senior, nice ball handler out there, handles the rock.
The Allatoona program puts out guys that know how to play the game. Daniel Fowler, a graduate of Allatoona, played for Coach Marcus Hood.
Ooh, travel.
Going to get called for the travel there at Phillips Arena. You kind of get away with that, but here on the high school level, you're going to get called for it there. That's Carson Campbell.
Kind of took that Euro hop 25 feet from the basket.
So here's Coffey with the ball for GAC. Coffey's going to be a good guard for Coach Martin. You can tell he's still getting used to his role here within this team. But seeing what he can do at various showcases, including the Only Radar Hoop showcase that was held a couple months back.
He took that hop one more time. I guess that's his signature move.
Here's Covington with it. Gets it out to Boyd. Nice ball moving by GAC. The cut by Covington, can't get the first one to go, but he's going to go to the free throw line. And we talked about pedigrees mentioned in yesterday's webcast. Covington is the son of John Covington, a former football player at the University of Notre Dame.
Huh, I did not know that. It's like we learn something new every day.
Most definitely. If not, then you got to be living under a rock. I think it's too many between the people that you come into contact with in social media. I mean, there are people that you can follow on Twitter that'll make sure you learn an interesting fact each day. So it's hard not to have a takeaway every 24 hours.
Exactly. Knocks down both of those free throws.
Substitution for GAC into the game, number 33. Basil Peterson. Peterson, 5'11", junior. Allatoona being patient. Ephraim, nice job of creating space. Good looking shot, can't get it to go. Another rebound by Covington. Covington and Jamison, they love eating the glass for GAC. They're not the only ones, but those guys always set the tone early on with the way they attack the boards. We've got 15 seconds left in this first quarter.
I like Coffee. Coffee's a sophomore, but he shows a little bit of maturity out there, a little bit beyond his years. Let's see what he does. 3 seconds, kicks it.
And it looks like GAC might not even get a shot off. They won't.
Great defense by Allatoona right there.
As that is going to bring the first quarter to an end. GAC off to a good start. The 3-ball worked against them yesterday. Here we see Cam Boyd. Instant replay of him getting them started off on the right foot as he knocks down that 3-pointer. That's what he does, GAC. I'm sure they'll want plenty more of it as this game continues. We're going to take a short break. When we get back, we'll bring you more action here from the Jared Cook Classic. And welcome back as we get ready to start the second quarter. I want to appreciate you joining us here. I want to also take some time to recognize our media partner here for this event, Gwinnett Daily Post. Be able to not only check out all things Gwinnett, there at GwinnettDailyPost.com, but more specifically as far as prep sports are concerned, follow your local team at GwinnettPrepSports.com. That shot's off the mark there. Comes GAC the other way. Coffee going to try a 3-pointer.
He was waiting on that one.
Drew Swanson puts his handprint on that one, literally. So GAC to inbound it. Boyd gets it up top to Covington. Covington catch and shoot. That 3-pointer, a shot he has an affinity for and can knock down. That one off the mark. Comes Allatoona the other way. Nice change of speeds there. But good help in the form of Eric Jamison coming across to get the block. Trying to finish strong inside. No good on the first 2 attempts. We'll see if the third time will be a charm for Covington. Can't get it to go originally, but he'll go to the free throw line. And again, there you see that 1-2 punch of Covington and Jamison, when it comes to the boards inside.
Jamison's kicking himself right now because he knew he had that basket, especially off of that good block right there. He ran the court like you want your big men to run the court after they make a good defensive play, and he just couldn't finish it off. He's kicking himself.
Covington good on the first free throw. While he was playing good ball before then, if you talk to Coach Martin and, the GAC staff and look at his stats, last year he was already contributing. But my first real exposure to Garrett Covington was in a matchup against Luella last year in the Blue Collar Basketball Showcase. Went home with about 20 points and took on Player of the Game honors against a Luella team that featured Darrell Moore, the 7-footer. That's currently down at Montverde now, and also Tamarcus Blanton, who being a Palmetto State representative, kind of player he is.
Tamarcus is he's not getting the look that he wants at USC right now, but it's early in the season, and things are working out for him. But they do see big things out of him in the future down there at my alma mater, greatest school in the land, University of South Carolina.
Greatest school in Columbia, at least. But, no, man, much love for South Carolina, man. I think when you look at their basketball program, momentum is definitely the word when you look at what Coach Dawn Staley's doing with the women's program, as well as Coach Frank Martin and, the culture he's bringing there to USC also.
Oh, yeah, the women's program is something special. As a matter of fact, last week I sat and watched them as they annihilated Clemson. They beat Clemson 99-50, I think, on the SEC network, the women's game. But even the men's game is we're getting there. We are getting there. Coach Martin's getting there. And as a matter of fact, if you check our slate a little bit later on in the season, SUV will be bringing you the Chick-fil-A Classic, and you'll get to see Perry Dozier. You'll get to see Perry Dozier Jr., PJ from Spring Valley High School. He's a USC recruit. A lot of exciting players you bring to the table, Marcus.
That free throw is good to go there. Productive trip to the free throw line there for number 4, Justin Evans. Coach Hood's team trails by 9 here. Steve from Chemanga going to pick up the foul there. Also a new substitution into the game for GAC, number 5. That's Jordan Washington. It's Washington going to have a seat. Back into the game, Brian Coffey. Cam Boyd, the inbounder for GAC. 9-point advantage here in the second quarter. Covington going to try the mid-range here. In and out, won't stay down for him. Good-looking shot, though. The North Gwinnett High School rims are not showing Covington any love on that one. But still a good shot, and like I said, I like the way he started this game. He's come out just as aggressive on the glass as he was yesterday. But able to get some more things going inside than we were able to see against Peachtree Ridge. Boyd, no good on that one. Rebound by Allatoona. Here's Chemanga. Dooms with the nice athletic move. Leaves it just short, though. 3 from the corner. Count it.
Knock it down.
Cash money there for Jacob Hoffman.
Will they answer?
Hoffman's going to be a good player for Coach Martin. Hoffman, number 43 there in the white jersey, not only because of his ability to knock down that three-pointer, which you just saw him do, but he has no problem making the hustle plays and doing whatever it takes, just to be able to get the job done. So, you got guys that can really create a spot for themselves just by that ability alone, but add that 3-ball and his ability to knock it down, you've got even more added value.
Shows a nice little bit of athleticism as he intercepted that long pass right there and just took it all the way to the basket and laid it on in. I like the body control he had to avoid the charge, too. Right now, I guess the pressure defense, Allatoona, they're putting in a little bit of 2-2-1 full court zone press, and right now, GAC, they hadn't really been able to respond to it. The Spartans are kind of a little bit bewildered by this defense, and we're going to call timeout. Looks like Coach Eddie Martin's going to call timeout so he can sit down and he can think about this and talk it over with his troops.
And we're going to take some time to recognize some of our sponsors here for the Jericho Classic. Crossover coaches, time is always a commodity. Let Crossover save some for you. They'll break down your game film and send you stats and analysis based on what they see. Also, Gwinnett Daily Post. Check out the website for all things Gwinnett and specifically for your local team and any prep sports related info. Check out GwinnettPrepSports.com. CBA Sports, the official sports construction specialist of the SUV. They've created courts for facilities such as McCamish Pavilion down there at Georgia Tech, Phillips Arena, as well as the University of Georgia. And last but not least, CoachHemi.com, a great resources for X's and O's coaches. Be able to check out CoachHemi.com and their collection of sets, plays, and different options for coaches from a tactical standpoint. So we are back from the timeout. It's a 10-point advantage for the Spartans of GAC. At the free throw line now, number 11, Bradley Brevet, the 6'4" senior for the Bucks. And it's a lot of compliments you can give this Allatoona program as they try to cut this gap. It could be the coaching, by Coach Hood and his staff, the great job they do. Some of the players they produce, such as a Daniel Fowler, the way they compete against anybody. But I want to give them a compliment on the color scheme, man. If you go to their gym, they have a great use of that Tampa Bay Buccaneers pewter and burgundy and That pewter is an underrated color, man. It's underrated, Chief. Now, it looked a lot better back when, Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp and those guys were in the pewter and white for Tampa Bay. Maybe not looking as good nowadays as, if those guys lose, seems like they lose by 20 or 30.
You can tell Marcus is smarter than the average play-by-play guy. Most of us would have said gray. He says pewter. You can tell he's a little bit smarter than the rest of us dumb jocks out here. Oh, good layup right there.
Nice bucket there. That's Bradley Brevette.
But the Allatoona Bucks. I have not been to their gym, Marcus. One of the gyms I hadn't been to yet. But it sounds like I need to take a road trip down there.
Yeah, and you say smarter for me saying pewter, but I guarantee 90% of our viewing audience is saying I could care less about the color pewter. Let's get back to the game. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will. Cam Boyd with the floater inside. Counted the three-point assassin, choosing to get a bucket of the deuce variety there, making it a 15-24 ball game. Shamanga going to try a three-pointer. Open look for him just off to the right. Boyd will bring it across. Hoffman for three. He's been ice cream from the corner so far here in this game, man.
I'm telling you, he is out there, and it is a nice stroke, too. I like the fact that he caught it. No wasted motion. He just caught it, ball in hand, rotated while it was going up, and just knocked it down. Short.
That three ball just short. So the advantage is 12 for GAC, and if you're Coach Hood and Allatoona, you want to be able to go into halftime as Hoffman with his first three-pointer from the corner miss so far in this game, but you like to be able to go down with a manageable 10 or 12-point deficit. But why leave it at 10 or 12 when you could cut it to single digits? And here's we get that three-pointer from the corner. Trey Dooms.
I gotta like this freshman, man. He's a young kid, but he doesn't seem intimidated at all by the situation. 14 years old playing varsity basketball is something that's something kind of special.
And you can make that assumption with any program, but definitely for Coach Hood, if he's out there on that court, there's a reason. And he's showing that so far, as that one's just off the mark by Hoffman. Dooms doing well. He's actually going to be guarded by Hoffman. Looked like Jamison was coming over there to guard him for a second, but he'll be guarded by Hoffman. Dylan Ramsey with it. Going to get it over to Dooms. Dooms, he's feeling it. Little strong on that one. So when I see players like Dooms, and I'm not making the Kobe player comparison, but I like the way Kobe, even when he was young, back, Kobe with the fro. I'm not talking, buzz cut Kobe. I'm talking Kobe back with the fro and the Sprite commercials. The Kobe that airballed in the playoffs against the Jazz that time. Maybe didn't take the best shot, but he wasn't afraid of seizing the moment. He felt like he was out there for a reason, and I like to see that same kind of chip in Dooms, number 22 there for Allatoona, because we've really been able to see that, and I think that's something that Coach Hood and them are going to be able to build off of moving forward.
And that's something you can tell the difference between some of the younger players. Like you take, for instance, Coffey on that the last possession of the first quarter. Coffey had the ball in his hand. He was moving it around, and with 3 seconds left, he decided to pass it off. Now, true, it was a smart pass. It was a good pass, but sometimes I like my star players to have a little bit of jerk in them. I like them to be a little arrogant. You got to be a little selfish. And at that particular time, that's one of the times where you got to have that killer in you. You got to have that Kobe in you, That's, one of the great barbershop debates is Kobe or LeBron, Kobe or LeBron. And what separates Kobe from LeBron is Kobe has that dog in him.
The proverbial dog. That's a term that really describes some of the best players that you'll see not only on the NBA level, but a lot of the players we've been able to cover on SUVtv have provided some dog-like moments in terms of clutch performances. So we really look forward to this season as those moments unfold, and we appreciate you joining us here as the action happens. So Brian Coffey's going to get a trip to the free throw line. Coffey is coming after Troy Morrison, the heady leader at the point guard position, for Coach Eddie Martin last year. Morrison has graduated since then. But we see the connection from the three-point land by Carson Campbell there for the Bucks.
And Carson has that little hop every time he catches his and launches that three. Coffee in the land with the land of the Giants.
Floater no good, but the hard work pays off. As Coffee gets it to go off the glass, pushes the advantage back to 10 points. So we're at about the minute 25 mark here in the second quarter.
Good look on the inside.
Didn't have a whole lot of time to get that shot off right there with Charlie O'Brien. And his long outstretched arm there, that shot just short.
Those are the ones you got to make count when you're down by 10. You got to hit the bunnies.
Covington cannot get the roll here on these rims. Getting all the way to the third level there. That was Brevet. But again, Jamison was right there to change that shot.
And the big man went coast to coast on that one. You know, he got the block shot, and he took it all the way down. I wanted to see if he could finish that thing.
So you'll see a lot of that with Jamison. We had a play to end the second quarter during yesterday's game versus Peachtree Ridge where he was able to make a big block off the glass on one end and then somehow end up with the ball in his hands racing towards the other end where he was able to cover almost all of the court in about 3 to 4 seconds and get a floater to go there as halftime was just starting. So he's capable of really getting from inline to inline very quickly, as we've been able to see plenty of times here early on in this season.
Big man has the soft touch, knock down that free throw.
It's number 5. Jordan Washington checks back into the game.
A little bit of 2-3 zone.
Nice movement.
And he does it every time he catches the ball. Every time he catches the ball, he does that same jump, hop, step every time he catches it.
As the official tries to give him an explanation on the sequence and the timing and why it's a violation. Campbell disagreed momentarily, but has moved on, focused back on defense. 11-point advantage for GAC. 30 seconds left to play here in the first half.
They got the young man listed at 5'9". I love these listed heights and weights you have in high school.
Yeah, no kidding. But that was a prime example of Boyd and what he was able to do.
Oh, good move.
As we see him get the offensive board and score that, but he helped create a lot of activity there on that possession by putting the ball on the floor, kicking it to a wide open shooter in the corner. First shot missed, but he was able to work and get the offensive putback.
Foul starts on 20 Coffee. That's his second personal foul. Team 7. Jamison back into the game.
Boyd's a workhorse for this team. You know, Boyd, to me, he's a guy, he's a great shooter. And besides being a great shooter, it seems like he just does all the little things it takes to make your team work and to make your team win. You know, he's just a guy, he's a Johnny-on-the-spot guy. That's who he is. He's there when no good.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the first half, GACS Marcus 34.
And that will send us to halftime. Thanks for joining us here for the Jericho Classic. We'll be back with the second half in about 10 minutes.
We invite you to get onto the concession area and visit our host.
Crossover intelligence for basketball can save you hours of time. We break down and stat your game film for you and act as your video coordinator by giving you searchable clips, advanced statistics, shot charts, and a lot of other great info that you can access from any PC or through our iPad application. Just upload your video through the Crossover website, and 24 hours later, your film will be completely indexed and tagged. Each play will become its own video clip, allowing you to search the footage for anything you'd like. Here we'll take a look at all 3-pointers that were made in the fourth quarter. All of your offensive and defensive sets can also be tagged, so you can view the appropriate clips and determine which plays are achieving the best results. You can add any clip to a playlist or highlight reel and share everything with your players or assistant coaches. Crossover will also provide you with all of the numbers from each game, including complete player stats for both teams and advanced metrics like these. We even take the shooting numbers a step further with an interactive shot chart that lets you visualize the data. Filter by player, quarter, makes or misses, and click on any shot to watch the corresponding video. Crossover Intelligence will keep you from spending hours in the film room and get you back to actually coaching. Together, we can turn smarter video into more wins for your team. That's the crossover effect. Crossover Intelligence for basketball can save you hours of time. We break down and stat your game film for you and act as your video coordinator by giving you searchable clips, advanced statistics, shot charts, and a lot of other great info that you can access from any PC or through our iPad application. Just upload your video through the Crossover website, and 24 hours later, your film will be completely indexed and tagged. Each play will become its own video clip, allowing you to search the footage for anything you'd like. Here we'll take a look at all 3-pointers that were made in the fourth quarter. All of your offensive and defensive sets can also be tagged, so you can view the appropriate clips and determine which plays are achieving the best results. You can add any clip to a playlist or highlight reel and share everything with your players or assistant coaches. Crossover will also provide you with all of the numbers from each game, including complete player stats for both teams and advanced metrics like these. We even take the shooting numbers a step further with an interactive shot chart that lets you visualize the data. Filter by player, quarter, makes or misses, and click on any shot to watch the corresponding video. Crossover Intelligence will keep you from spending hours in the film room and get you back to actually coaching. Together, we can turn smarter video into more wins for your team. That's the crossover effect.
And welcome back here to North Gwinnett High School as we get ready to bring you second half action for the Jared Cook Classic. I want to take some time to recognize a couple of our sponsors. Crossover, Gwinnett Daily Post. You can check out all things Gwinnett at GwinnettDailyPost.com. Specifically, Gwinnett Prep Sports for your local high school and all of your prep action. CBA Sports, the official sports construction specialist of the SUV, as well as CoachHemi.com. So it looks like we're ready to go second half. There's a 12-point advantage for GAC as we get this third quarter kicked off.
Good body control right there to lay that thing up, to come underneath the basket and lay it back up. It's just pretty good move there. Let's see if GAC can keep the hot shooting going on from the first half. Jump ball. Looks like Allatoona's going to step up the defensive intensity. I think that was something that was lacking in the first half. They just weren't on the ball. They didn't have a lot of defensive aggression going on, and they left a lot of those Spartan shooters wide open to knock down some of those easy three balls. Allatoona working around the perimeter. The acrobatic shot goes nowhere. Pulled down by Charlie O'Brien. Ooh, in and out. They're going to push it up. Strong move to the bar. He just threw it over a little bit too hard. But that was a great take to the hole. Shoot a roll right there for Jamison.
Jamison put a little bit of touch on that one.
You know, you only get that one if you're good.
Back door, that pass a little too low. You got a player that like Brevette that can jump a little bit. You don't want to put it to where Cam Boyd can get his hands on it because he'll snatch it away in a heartbeat and convert with the three.
And he comes down court and just sticks a dagger right in the middle of that run from Allatoona. You know, that's what a great player does. A great player, once a team starts to get a little bit of confidence, a great player just come down there and just knock down a big-time shot just to slow everything up.
Three-pointers off, following his shot and getting it to go on the second effort.
Justin Evans, the senior, follows his shot.
Something that you hear preached a lot, you know, coming up through basketball. You don't see it happen as often as you would think. Dooms loses the handle.
Oh, got away with a carry.
I'm sure Carson Campbell for Allatoona is somewhere saying, hey, man, you guys haven't been letting me get away with any travels.
Way to step up and take the charge. A lost art right there. I used to have a coach. Used to have a high school coach, Mark Curlow. He always told us. He said, if anybody ever took a charge on the baseline, we would never have to run conditioning for the rest of the year. 4 years playing basketball, we had to run conditioning every day. And nobody ever took a charge on the baseline. I don't know why. You could never take a charge on the baseline for some reason.
.5:15 left to play here in the third quarter. And Allatoona, they've stayed within striking distance, you know, this whole time, but haven't really been able to get it past, you know, that 9 and 12-point range. Covington putting it on the deck. That's a tough one right there. I mean, if I'm Coach Martin, I don't either let that foul go or, you know, or make it an and one, you know, because it looked like Covington had already gathered, but they'll take the ball out of bounds nonetheless.
And, you know, you were stating kind of earlier about how they can never really break that 9 or 12-point almost. You can never really break that 9 or 12-point mark. And it just seems like every time Allatoona's tried to make a little run or a small run, either Cam or Jamison would just come in and just do something that just stick it right in the middle of the heart. And even O'Brien knocked down some big threes.
Yeah, they've made the right plays, and again, along with the adage of sometimes you get the bear, sometimes the bear gets you. As we see Jamison, the nice putback there. Peachtree Ridge had a similar instance with GAC yesterday. GAC was fighting, clawing to stay in that game despite the shooting barrage from Peachtree Ridge early on. But every time GAC would make certain moves to get momentum, Peachtree Ridge would bend but not break. And I think we're seeing the same thing with GAC here.
Oh, good look up court.
And the finish by Jamison. Coach Hood's going to get a timeout to talk it over. Being down 10-12, a lot different than the 17-point deficit that they face here. Still not an insurmountable lead, but I think a very good timeout because you want to be able to chop this thing in half to make sure that you're looking at, again, 10 to 12 points and trying to erase that going into the fourth quarter as opposed to the late teens.
Exactly, and what a good coach tells his team right now, you're down by you're down by double digits. There's no such thing as a 14-point shot. You're not going to get back in this thing with one shot. So you gotta work your way down. You gotta chop that tree down. You can't chop it down with one swing of the axe. You gotta work on that thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what a good coach sits there and he tells his team and he reinforces that in his team. He reinforces that in his team, and that's what it'll take to win this game.
It's always fun talking with coaches at this time of year because they realize that there's plenty of season left, that it's a marathon, not a sprint, and they have goals that go beyond just this early part of the season. They kind of realize the part that it plays as far as the overall development, as we see Brevitt get the bucket in there. But it's funny because every coach, if you could have them point out 4 or 5 things that he wants to improve on and get better on, that'll be quick. If you ask Coach, give me what you've been most pleased about so far in the season, none of them want to focus on that right now. It's all about correcting what needs to be corrected. You can pat yourself on the back later. And we see Garrett Covington getting the offensive rebound and the layup inside there. But every coach sandbagging a little bit, even if they do look great, they're always going to point out the 4 or 5 things that they can work on because that's what it's all about as far as getting the making.
Exactly.
Advantage is now 17. Coffee going to stop and pop. Long rebound. He's the beneficiary of it, but can't get that shot to stay down. It'll be rebounded by Drew Swanson. Ramsey hesitates, then blows by.
Oh, good move. Dylan Ramsey. It's a great little hesitation move.
Ramsey, the 6'1" junior. Covington, nice job of being aggressive on the catch there. Can't get the shot to go. He from Chemanga pulls it out, gets it ahead to Brevitt. Brevitt will take care of the rest.
And he just got up there so easily, it just made it seem so easy.
Long rebound. Allatoona back to within 13. Ephraim Chemanga in attack mode. He'll get to the free throw line to shoot 2. And Allatoona got to take advantage of these free throw opportunities to be able to score with no time going off the clock.
Front of the rim. You got to bend those legs, man. Get more elevation on that shot.
As you can see, Ephraim just a little winded out there, and conditioning. That's something that is going to get better as the season goes on. But also you talk about the energy that it requires when you're playing against a good team like GAC. They're ahead. It takes a lot of energy alone just to make sure you stay in the game and stay within striking distance and don't let 12-13 become 17, 18, 19, 20. So it'll be interesting to see if Allatoona has enough gas in the tank to not only fight and keep the deficit manageable, but also be able to get over the hump. Plays like that are gonna help their plight. They're not happy with the call right there. Let's see if we can look at the instant replay and see who it was out on. Plays like that are gonna help their plight. I can't really tell from that angle. It looked like Carson Campbell, it hit off his leg, but I think the crowd thought that it touched off of Coffey's foot there on the other end. So either way, the players went on. And really the only 2 cents in opinion that matters are the guys with the striped shirts on. So 33-45 here. Boyd in the corner, money in the bank.
Boyd is nice. Boyd just has a nice shot. You love to have a shooter like that on your team.
He's been doing it there for years.
Good up and under. You know, one thing I like about that, what Dylan Ramsey did, Dylan Ramsey went to the middle of the lane. He went to the lane with a bunch of people who were jumpers, who were high flyers down there, and he used the rim as a protector, you know, to get up there and get up under the rim and then come back and lay it off the glass and get and one and get to the line. I like that. That's a heady play by the youngster. Got to hit the free throw, though.
That last deuce makes it 34-48. Hoffman, looks like that shot was partially deflected. He'll kick it out to Cam Boyd. Layup. In and out. That one won't stay down this time. GAC getting a couple opportunities at it. Shifty move there. Going to create a trip to the charity stripe for Brian Coffey.
Foul starts at number 11, Brevin. That's his first personal team foul.
Coffey, a former player at Wesleyan. So different location there in Gwinnett County, but still in Gwinnett. County that has a lot of good basketball, and it's fun seeing the different county rivalries, but also the discussions that take place when you look at some of the good teams we have in this Atlanta area, regardless of the county. You know, you look at the GACs, the Norcrosses, a ton of solid teams in Gwinnett County. Of course, Coach Eddie Martin has been a part of both of those programs. Some of those championship teams at Norcross, coached a couple players that have played in the NBA.
Yeah.
And also coached a couple players at GAC that very well might be in the NBA as well when you look at Malcolm Brogdon as well as Isaiah Wilkins, two members of the University of Virginia basketball team. Brogdon definitely in a position to improve his draft stock. And just knowing Isaiah Wilkins, the way he can affect the game and how hard he works, I expect him to not be too far behind.
No, not too far at all. Not too far at all. Long range.
And one of the things with Wilkins, the mid-range jumper that he was able to develop, by the time he was at the end of his career at GAC, when he took a mid-range J, you assume that it was going in. When he first started, he was a hustle guy, he was an energy guy, and that was about it, But he really put in the work, and he got better to where he went from an energy guy, a guy with a great motor. That was no knock to him, but you couldn't really give him the checks as far as scoring the ball like he really did, show by the time he left GAC. So I think you'll be able to see that same kind of jump, in the college ranks with the way that guy works.
And, that's a big thing. That's a huge thing with kids and athletes now, that if you have a kid who doesn't have all the tools when he first gets to high school and he works and works and works, as opposed to a kid who's he comes out to ninth grade, he's a top-rated player in the nation, and he stops working. How many times have you heard the story? Oh, good layup. How many times you heard the story about the park legend or the guy who was great in middle school, but when he got to high school, everybody just surpassed him? But, I guess that goes as a testament to show who that kid is, his inner workings. And when you get a kid like that on scholarship at your collegiate program, you love to have that guy because he's going to work. these next 4 years, well, college guys now, it might not be 4 years anymore, but you know this guy's going to work. It's a good thing to have.
Yeah, as that three-pointer's off the mark, and when you talk about working, the rankings and the different lists and the media coverage, it's a great element. Don't get me wrong, it's good for debate, but you got to give kudos to the kids that don't let the fact that they might not be in this ranking or that ranking or as high on that list as they would like to be. They either use it as fuel or realize at the end of the day that the story's still being written. You know, the story doesn't end with whatever ranking or whatever the case may be. And I think Wilkins is one of those players that at the end of the day, you know, he worked his tail off to care less about rankings, and it just so happens that he ended up being one of the top 2 players in the state of Georgia by the time he left. So that is going to do it for the third quarter. We appreciate you joining us here on SUVtv. We're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we'll bring you the fourth quarter here from the Jarrett Cook Classic. Fourth quarter action about to get started. Want to do another quick run through of our sponsors here for the broadcast. Crossover, Gwinnett Daily Post. Check out Gwinnett Prep Sports as well. Also be sure to follow them on Twitter at GDP Sports. CBA Sports, Sports Construction Specialist, and last but not least, CoachHemi.com, where the coaches can go for their X's and O's. As the fourth quarter is underway, you see Eric Jamison with a quick drive along the baseline. Long rebound out of bounds. It will stay with GAC. Be sure to stick with us after this webcast, as we'll have 2 more matchups. Hillcrest versus Beaufort. Hillcrest out of South Carolina, taking on the Beaufort Wolves, and then we'll end the night with Whitfield Academy taking on the host, North Gwinnett.
Now we got to find out which Hillcrest team it is. Now it's 2 Hillcrest teams in South Carolina. One is Hillcrest out of Simpsonville, and the other one is Hillcrest out of Dalzell. Now, the Hillcrest out of Dalzell has one of the best pure shooters ever to play basketball as their alumni, Mr. Ray Allen. That's his alma mater, Hillcrest out of Dalzell.
You know, with my wife being from Sumter right there, we passed through that stretch where Ray Allen is from, and it was nice just to be in that same area where he used to pack gyms at that age because of the greatness that everybody saw. And it definitely played suit there in the NBA.
And you know, it's funny how the conversation comes back around. We're talking about a player working and getting better. When before Ray Allen went to Connecticut and South Carolina, Ray Allen was a high flyer. Ray Allen went to the lane and dunked on people. That's what he did in high school. That's all he did in high school. But he went to Connecticut and became a shooter. You know, just somebody who worked on his game and worked on his game. So, hey, it worked out for him. 25 years later.
I think a credit to him, even though he had that high-flying ability, as we see Eric Jamison. Nice little stop on a dime, splashes the baby jumper. Makes it a 16-point advantage for GAC. But when you talk about Ray, he molded his game as time went on to where if Ray wanted to, Ray could play another 6-7 years in the league because of the shape that he's in. And you know, you look at a player like a Dwayne Wade, who's obviously had a great career, but he's taken a lot more miles and a lot more wear and tear as far as, you know, his style of game and the amount of times he has to get up off of the floor every night. Ray Allen is a little bit different, and I think that's why you see him still so silky smooth out there at his age.
Exactly. And, you know, it's debated now whether he's going to come back and play for Cleveland. You know, after the All-Star break or something like that. Is he signed to a team?
I'm not sure. I think Ray's just taking it easy.
And I'm pretty sure plenty of teams in the NBA, after that All-Star break, they're gonna be ringing his agent's phone saying, "Ray, you ready to come and play yet?" Plenty of teams want him out there, man. Silky smooth player, great guy. Ray is a blaming on my USC education. Can't even pronounce the word. Philanthropist. He's a great philanthropist. It's a program in Columbia called the Double Dutch Forces. They work out of Martin Luther King Park in Columbia, South Carolina. It's a double Dutch team, and they've been all over the world in double Dutch competitions. And Ray Allen is the single benefactor for that team, for that double Dutch team, and he pays all the bills for him. He's a great guy.
Yeah, speaking of philanthropy, got to give credit to Jared Cook, the namesake of this tournament, for all the support that he does and making sure it's a great basketball event here at North Gwinnett each year for a cause that's bigger than the sport of basketball itself, that of breast cancer awareness. All benefits proceed to Susan G. Komen for the Cure organization, and it's also a cause that Jared has a direct link to with his mother being a cancer survivor. So appreciate you all supporting the vision that this event was created for and joining us here for the webcast. $16-point advantage for GAC. 5:34 left to play here in the fourth quarter.
Long three ball. No good.
There goes the freshman again, Trey Dooms. This time getting the rebound and a quick layup.
And you know what I loved about that? That's how you beat the press. They didn't dribble one time. You beat the press just by passing straight out of the press. Right there, passing to the open man, finding the hole in the zone. That was beautiful.
Dooms, nice little shovel pass. Foul there on the attempt is Swanson. Swanson will go to the free throw line.
Foul starts at number 2, Jameson. That's his second, team fifth.
Foul going to go against Eric Jameson. That'll be his second foul.
Ooh. Rough looking free throw right there.
Second one on the way for Swanson. Won't go. Rebound by Jameson. Jameson and Coffee directing traffic here as they look to beat the press. Boyd with the cross-court pass. Coffee just had a jumper from that spot on their last possession, just short on that one. Dooms taking it right at Boyd and finishing.
Dooms is a heady player. For him to be so young, it's going to be a bright future ahead of this guy. Double dribble.
Dooms a player that Coach Hood is definitely high on as far as some of that upside and the road ahead, like you just alluded to. And while we're broadcasting the Jericho Classic here, be sure to join us December 27th through the 30th as we'll have Allatoona's Lake City Classic on SUVtv also. An event that is shifted from a boys and girls event to just a boys event this year. So there will be more games. And a champion will be crowned there on the 30th. So be sure to come on out to Allatoona for what will continue to be one of the best events here in the Southeast. Nice little floater game there. The teardrop along the baseline for Garrett Covington. Nice pass inside.
Oh, too hard off the backboard.
That rim can be a tough one to master. We saw that do that same thing with Covington a few times for GAC there in the first half. That layup was all but down for Swanson, but rolled right out. So the lead still 16 for GAC.
They're going to extend that little 2-3 zone. Now they're going to man it up. Nope. Going that 2-2-1. I'm sorry, 2-1-2.
Just over 3 minutes left to play here. GAC running a little bit of clock, taking the air out of the ball for a second.
I think with 3 minutes to go, now you got to break out of that zone and just man up. You know, you just allowed too much time to run off the clock by playing that zone and having everybody rotate like that. Sometimes you just got to, hey, 3 minutes to go in the game, you got to figure out, hey, are we playing this thing to win it or what?
Number 3, Kevin Perry checks in. Number 14, Roland Wooden. And also number 4, Justin Evans, check again for Allatoona. Jamison says enough of the stalling. I'm looking to go to work. Silky move right there. Great footwork on that last move by Jamison and showing the touch. It's fun watching the players able to adopt more of a role on their teams. Once that graduating class leaves, you look at a Jamison, and not that he didn't have that potential last year, but just watching him play for the Atlanta All-Stars, there on the spring-summer circuit, and just seeing some of that development in progress and seeing it actually be applied here in the game. Hats off for the work, and it's always nice to have dividends that are supported by your play.
Exactly. Got a push on Wooden. Another freshman. Rolling.
Foul going to go against Ephraim Shimanga. Both players went up with every intention of coming down with that one. Glad to see both are all right.
Got the foul.
So Allatoona going to make GAC go to the free throw line and try to close this game out, or see if they can use the free throw line as maybe an opportunity to stop the clock and maybe get a little bit of help from GAC as far as missed free throws.
Now they're going to try to extend out this game with the fouls. Marcus, if I only had 5 minutes left to live, I want those 5 minutes to be in a close basketball game. It'll stretch it out.
That's a true fan right there, man. That's a true basketball enthusiast right there. If I got 5 minutes left to live, I could care less about basketball or any other sport for that matter. How can I change my state of affairs?
Well, those 5 minutes going to take forever. If it's 5 minutes worth of clock time. A close basketball game, those 5 minutes might turn into 20.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. 2 minutes, 26 seconds left to play here in this ball game. It's a 44-61 score. As I mentioned, Hillcrest versus Buford will be up next, and the nightcap will feature Whitfield Academy versus North Gwinnett. Hillcrest versus Buford is going to be a good one, but at Whitfield Academy versus North Gwinnett showcase, here for Tuesday night, that is going to be a great one. You look at Whitfield Academy, one of the toughest teams, bar none, in the state. And when I say toughest teams, they have a good roster. I'm not necessarily talking about as far as just, you just look at them on paper and say, oh, man, they got a bunch of, D1 prospects. But the toughest team as far as physical toughness, the art of physicality, which was actually the coaching clinic session for head coach of Whitfield Academy, Tyrone Johnson, at a coaching clinic that we recently broadcasted. So I think you look at their no-back-down mentality, the physical mentality of Whitfield, and the North Gwinnett Bulldogs, who play as such, and you got for a very good Tuesday night showcase game here at the Jared Cook Classic. Cam Boyd goes and knocks down the free throw out of the timeout. Three-pointer off to the left. Boyd with the rebound.
I'm really interested in seeing Courtney Alexander. That's a kid I really want to see out of Whitfield.
Jameson able to catch that one in stride. Easy lay-in. Yeah, R. Kelly believed he could fly. Courtney Alexander Jr. actually can fly. And we'll be able to see that later tonight. Coffey going to drop it off. chest to chest, finishing through the contact. Jacob Hoffman. Again, that utility of Hoffman. A guy that can knock down a three-pointer but doesn't mind.
Oh, he knocks down a three.
Getting inside also, but that's Carson Campbell.
But he did the same hop, step, walk. The ref didn't want to call it, but he did the same thing.
Boyd again to Hoffman.
Oh, good block.
Give me that all over. That was Kevin Perry. Doom's going to try the mid-range. Nice touch pass there by Hoffman. Here's Covington.
Oh.
Got a little crossed up there. Wasn't sure whether he wanted to finish with the left or kind of got a no man's land there in the air. Dooms. Definitely not Doomsday. He's changing the stigma associated with that word. You know, normally Doomsday is a gloomy description, gloomy scenario. But I think Doomsday, in the case of Coach Hood and Allatoona moving forward, definitely a bright outlook. They're going to drop this contest, but I'm sure Coach Hood was able to see some things that he can build on, as they're still expecting a few players back from injury.
And see, that's one reason right there why you just got to go man-to-man instead of trying to play that zone, because you know, you got people rotating and moving around, and you just leave the man wide open on the baseline. But we live and we learn. Whoa.
That foul was a little harder than necessary there, and I really don't think Carson Campbell really meant to do that.
Carson came back and said he flopped.
Yeah.
I don't know about a flop, but, you know, he might have ran into, you know, and that's one thing about these teams. I don't think it was a malicious intent, but, you know, both players were going hard, both players are going fast, and stuff happens. You know, people might not want to admit it, but basketball is a contact sport. Stuff happens.
Exactly, and that's what it was. It was one of those things where, you know, Campbell just continuing to play hard, and, you know, we'll look at some of what we've seen from Eric Jamison here in this matchup via the CoachHemi.com instant replay while we wait for that technical foul shot. You know, Jamison, he plays hard, aggressive, rebounds, but here we see him showing off the move. He's got some tricks in his bag. Eric Jamison with that nice little J along the baseline. It's been a good day for him so far, as it looks like GAC going to come out of here 1-1 here at the Jared Cook Classic. So 49-69. As Boyd gets it in to gcov.gov for GAC. Dooms still playing. Shot would have counted if it went. As again, there we go. Dooms. You love the fight in him. You love the swagger that he shows even as a freshman, even though the Spartans of GAC come away victorious in this one. Thanks for joining us here for the Jared Cook Classic on SUVtv. We'll have Hillcrest versus Buford next.